going to learn how to make a diaper changing pad. Hi, I'm Tara Cross and welcome back to Creating Joy. Today I'm going to share with you a really neat pattern that my good friend Verilyn Jensen made, and we're going to learn how to make a diaper changing pad. I am now a grandma and I have the cutest little grandbabies. I have a little boy and a little girl, Orion and Luna, and my friend Verilyn, she wanted to do a gift for them, so she made me a pattern for her diaper changing pad that she had for a toddler. So she said most changing pads out there are, on the small side. They just fold up and you put it into your little diaper bag. But her toddler still is in diapers, and so she decided to make a pattern that was the same size as her toddler. So this can be used for both your small children, and then as they grow, then you'll have it for a larger child as they get bigger. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to give you the dimensions of this so you can make it along with me. So if you have paper, like from newspaper roll that you can get the ends from a newspaper company, if you have any places that still make newspapers in your area, usually the end of the roll is like $5 or something. Anyway, I have my own roll, and you can take these measurements and draw out your own pattern. So these are the measurements. The front is 38 inches by 22 inches and cut 1. The back is 31 inches by 22 inches and cut 1. And then you're going to have a little strap that you're going to make, and that's 6 inches by 1 1/2 inch. And you're going to cut 2 of that. Okay, so get those measurements written down, and then you can draw them out on your paper like I did. Well, actually, Verilyn did this for me. I'm going to go ahead and cut the pattern out now so that I have it to put on my fabric. So now we have our pattern all cut out, and we have our dimensions. So we're going to cut the front out first. It's going to be 38 inches by 22 inches, and we're going to cut 1. So I'm going to go ahead. I have these two fabrics. I have this one and I have this one. Is what I decided to do. So basically when you have your fabric, it's already folded, right, when you get it from the store. So basically what we're going to do is we're just going to cut it right along the seam. So I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors. And I mean, one thing I do, and whether it's right or not, is I'm just going to tear it. Okay, so I'm going to put one aside because I only need one. I'm going to do the same thing for my other fabric. Okay, so now you have to decide, do I want this fabric on the outside when I roll it in, or do I want this on the outside when I roll it in? I think for the outside, I want the really cute elephant one. So this is one that my daughter really liked when we went to the store. And this one has cute owls on it that I really, really like. But it also has some elephants on it too. If you look really close right here, it's got their little brown elephants with little swirlies on it. So see, there's elephants on it too. So then she can have elephants too and still have owls to remind you of grandma. Okay, so the front, so this is going to be the front, is what we decided. So we're just going to lay it out and make sure we have the right measurements. So it's supposed to be 22. So that's going to be our 22 across. And then it's 38 inches. So we'll take it down and measure it. So there's 35. And bring it back to the top. 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we've got 38. I'm going to go down just a little bit further. So And then you don't want to, if there's strings like this, you just cut it because it likes to pull it out. Okay, just pull it back down where it was, smooth it out. Okay, so we've got, this is the front. And if you think you're going to get confused, sometimes I will actually get a piece of paper and I will write front and then I'll pin it to it and then back and just label all of your pieces so you don't get confused. Oh, what was what again? So make sure you know what's front, what's back with all of it. Okay. So for the back, the measurement is 31 inches by 22 inches. For the strap number 1, I'm going to cut 6 inches by 1.5 inches from each of my fabrics. Okay, and we're going to repeat with the other fabric. So next we're going to cut the smaller strap, which is 3 inches by 1.5 inches. Make sure you cut one from each of your fabrics. Okay, so we're going to take our straps and we're going to put them right sides together, the pretty side together. And we're going to go ahead and sew starting. So you can either start in the middle. I think this is the easiest, where you start in the middle and you leave a space about 1.5 inches wide. And you're going to backstitch, go down, around, and up and down. And that way, when you're turning it right side out, you're taking part from one side and part from the other. And then you don't have to push it down so far. Now that we've sewn, we're going to trim off the corners. Okay, so remember we left the opening on the side over here. So here's my opening. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to push it out. Okay, so this one is actually a little bit too snug. I should have left probably almost 2 inches. So I'm going to go and undo a little bit of that. Okay, so here it is a little bit bigger. And go ahead and push it out on one end. If you want, you can get a chopstick to push through. That's always nice to have. Then we'll push out the other side. Okay, once I have it pushed out, then I'm going to grab my pin and I'm going to just pull out the corners. Okay, and then we're just going to do the same for our other one. And this one was at the bottom. So we're just going to tuck it in and push it through. Okay, now we have our 2 ends. And what we're going to just make sure that the holes are pressed nicely with like just a finger press. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just sew right along the very, very edge and just make it look nice and do a top seam around both of these so that they're ready to sew onto our project. Okay, so we got them tucked in at the bottom. And again, do a little finger press. Okay, there we have it. Okay, so take them to the sewing machine and just do a top seam all the way around it. Now it's time to get your Velcro. This is the sewing Velcro you sew on. What we're going to do is we're going to measure. So I'm going to go ahead and do it the length of the small one. So just measure the length of the small one, and we're doing it the inside. Okay, so it's going to end just about 1/4 inch in. So I'm going to cut that. Okay, so then we're going to open it up. And one side is going to be sewn on to this. And then the other side is going to be sewn on to this one. Now the thing we want to remember is whatever's going to be on the outside needs to be on the outside of this also. So the inside is the one that's going to be facing up, and it's the one that you're going to be sewing your Velcro onto. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just backstitch and sew around each of them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put right sides together of our changing pad. I'm going to go ahead and, okay, so one thing I did see, the selvage is still here and it has words on it. We definitely want to cut this off. So let's go ahead and just quickly do that on each of our pieces of fabric, and then we'll put them together. So when you're getting ready to pin your right sides together, you need to notice your fabric. So this one is directional. So this is going to be my top, and this will be my bottom down here. Okay, so then I'm going to match the other one. The other one kind of goes round in circles, so it doesn't really matter which one is my top and which one is my bottom. I just need to make sure that the right sides are together, and we're going to start sewing on the fabric that is the smallest one, which is going to be the back side. So we're going to go ahead and pin it together. So when you lay it out, you can see how this part right here is the shorter. So we're going to start sewing right here. So right here and go all the way up, over and down and back stitch. And then we will turn it right side out and do the next step. Okay, now that we have it pinned, we're going to take your short strap and we're going to go ahead, we're going to measure 4.5 inches from the edge. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.5, and then we're going to stick it inside. Okay, so we want to go ahead and pin it on. We want to make sure we catch the little strap as we're sewing around. So I'm going to pin on my strap. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start sewing at the bottom and go all the way around. And remember, we're just sewing to the short side, and then we're going to back stitch. Okay, so let's go ahead to the sewing machine and we will do that now. We're going to go ahead and just sew straight across. We folded it under and just sew right along the edge. Make sure you bring your feed dogs back up. Okay, so we're going to just sew right across the edge. Make sure it stays folded under. To go ahead and iron down about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch before we fold it up. Okay, now that it's ironed in on all the edges, so we're going to go ahead and sew straight across the edge here. If you want to do it twice, you can to have a nice finished edge. So let's go ahead and do that right now. now that we have it folded over and sewn, now we'll take it right at that part right there. We're going to pin it together. And then we're going to go to the other side. Increase it really nicely right where it is. Okay, so we're going to sew right here. We're going to sew together, back stitch, and then we'll do the other side the same way. And then we're going to go straight down the middle of the whole entire thing. We're going to fold it right in half and put a pin right where the center is. And then we're going to go to the top and put a pin right here at the top. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the bottom. I'll move the pin. And we're going to start sewing right here at the bottom and go all the way up the center. So I have my original fold line that I can follow, which makes it easy. And you can either do quilting on here or just sew straight up the center and keep it good at that, like that. Okay, so this is our changing pad. We've got the two pockets. They're long enough to put diapers in. So you can put diapers sideways in here. You could put diapers on one side and a pack of wipes on the other. Okay, so once you have that, then you would take it and you would fold it over. And then this is our small little attachment right here. Okay, so then you would fold it over like this, because your wipes and diapers would be right in this pocket. So it would fold over like this. So this is why we're doing this. We're seeing where we need to sew on our other thing. Okay, so it would need to be right here on this elephant. So I'm going to put a pin right over top of this elephant. So the way I have it sewn on right now, for this to attach, so I want to attach it down like this, and then I would bring it over and lay it down and then see where it would land on the other side. So this is actually where I would want to sew it on, is right here. So I'm actually going to pin it on right now, because this is exactly where I want it to be for it to line up perfectly. Okay, and this is if I had my wipes and diapers inside of it, this is how it would be. And so it would line up right here. So on my second diaper changing pad, I'm going to be doing batting. So the original pattern doesn't actually call for batting, but as I was making the first one, like, this is really thin and just felt like I would like to try it with a little batting so it's a little bit softer. So what I've done is we have our outside, our inside, face to face, and then our batting is on top, just like you would if you were doing a baby blanket that you were going to do around. So we're just going to sew around the outside like we did the other one, and then back stitch. I'm not completely cutting off the batting quite yet. Okay, so I am going to sew on the side that the batting is not on. I'm just doing the batting on the shorter side because the other one is going to be coming back over. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go sew it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess batting that I have. I think I'm going to cut right to left. So I'm right-handed. If you have excess batting, now's the time to cut off your excess batting too. If you have excess fabric, excuse me, now's the time to cut off your excess fabric along with the excess batting. Then you take your corners, trim your corners. I love this ruler. It's the Creative Grids, and it has 1/4 of an inch right on it, so you can line it right up on your sewing line and cut it nicely. So I do have a little excess on this side, so I'm going to get my scissors. So I could either get my scissors or I could just tuck this back. I think this is what I'm going to do. You really have to be careful though not to cut your fabric on this. So I'm going to let it probably hang down a little bit just to make sure that I don't cut my fabric. So here we have it, and now we're going to bring it right side out. And you just go inside and tuck those corners out with your finger. And I like pushing along the seam to make sure that it kind of comes out. Just pushing it down along it. So it's a little bit thicker because we have the batting in now. So now it's actually comfortable to put your baby down on. It's just a more softer thing, not just 2 pieces of fabric, but you've got your batting in the middle. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and take our fabric on the edges, roll it under twice on both sides, and then we're going to roll it under twice right here. We're going to go ahead and sew it now and go all the way around. Okay, I'm going to press it so it'll stay down. Okay, so I pressed the whole thing and folded it up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sewing right here at the pocket. And I'm going to sew all the way around and then back over and then straight up the center. So before we sew all the way around, we're going to sew the top of the diaper holder. Just hem it first. Okay, now we can take it and we can sew all the way around. Okay, so there are 2 different ways that you can put on your straps. The first one is one I showed before, how you can stick them inside when you can stick the top up inside and sew it on while you're sewing, or you can do it afterwards like I'm doing this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half, and we're going to see where everything needs to end up. So you start folding right where the pockets are, and then you fold it again, and then you take your strap and you put it on. You're going to put the little strap on. So remember, you want to have the color that is the same color facing it. Okay, so that's going to be out. So I'm going to pin it on. Okay, and so I want to have at least 1 inch sewn onto it. So I'm going to be sewing around in a square and crossing it. So a square, then an X. Okay. So I just want everything to be flat, so I'm kind of pushing everything down. Then I'm going to pin it at the bottom of it. You pin it wherever it's most convenient for you, so that you have about 1 inch on. So then I'm going to bring this one over. So this one you're going to fold, you're going to sew at the bottom. So you want this to come, you want to cover the whole entire Velcro. The reason why I do that is so that when you do have diapers in it, it'll be a little bit fuller. And if you need to undo it and put it down to the the edge, you can. But for now, we're just going to cover up the whole entire thing when we're sewing it on. Okay, great. So here I have it, and I'm going to pin it on right here where it needs to be sewn. Okay, so once I've got that, make sure I'm just going through one layer. Okay, now I'm going to unvelcro, and then I'm going to take it back to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew around in a square and then an X, and then I'm going to do the same for this piece right here and sew around in a square and then an X. Okay. Now that we're all done sewing on our tabs, we're going to go ahead and show you. So here's the pockets. You can put your diapers in one pocket and the wipes in the other pocket. And then you can fold it across like this. And then you're going to take it and you're going to fold it a couple of times and then pull down the top. And then you take it and you Velcro it together. And here you have your cute little baby changing pad. I hope you have enjoyed making a changing pad with me today, and I hope you can create joy for someone else as you make a gift for them for either baby shower or maybe just for your own little one that you have. So, thank you for joining me this week on Creating Joy, and I will see you next time.